You ever meet someone so full of themselves they act like life bends to their every whim? Picture a guy who thinks he can take your mountain lodge for next to nothing, like he's doing you some kind of charity. That's what happened to me. Except he had no clue about one small fact. I owned the whole ridge. Before I dive in, I've got a question for you. Drop a comment with your city and the weather right now. It's always fun seeing where everyone's listening from. There's nothing quite like waking up to the echo of ravens across a misty valley and the first gold. Rays of sunlight kissing the peaks. My place wasn't luxurious. Wasn't one of those glossy log homes you see in magazines. It was modest, hand-built, solid, made for quiet. To me, that lodge was more than timber and stone. It was my shelter from the chaos of everyday life. A spot where I could sit on the deck with a mug of black coffee, watch elk graze by the tree line, and breathe air so clean it stung with freedom. What people didn't realize was that it wasn't just a holiday spot. I owned the land, the lodge, and more importantly, the mountain it sat on. But I never bragged about that. To the folks in town, I was just the quiet guy with the old cabin up high, and honestly, I preferred it that way. At least until one day when a self-proclaimed real estate guru named Derek decided my lodge was an eyesore in his future resort. Vision. He didn't just dislike it, he wanted it erased. It all began one frosty Sunday morning. I was chopping wood when I spotted him trudging up the trail like he owned the ridge. Perfectly combed hair, shiny boots, tablet in hand. You know the type. "Hey there," he called out, voice slick as oil. "You the one living in this shack?" He said the word shack like it tasted rotten. I nodded, brushing sawdust from my hands. "Yeah, that'd be me. Something you need?" He grinned, tapping his tablet like a salesman about to seal a deal. "This cabin doesn't really fit the vision for our future development," he said smoothly. "I'm here representing Summit Ridge Estates to make you a fair offer." I tilted my head. "Fair offer?" His smirk widened. 40,000, cash in hand. You should honestly be grateful. This place is crumbling, and it's dragging down the value of the entire area. I chuckled. 40 grand? I'd spent more than that reinforcing. The stone foundation alone, and that didn't even account for the land beneath it. I gave him a polite shake of the head. "Appreciate it, but I'm not selling." His smile cracked, irritation slipping through. "You'll regret that." Then he spun around and stomped down the trail like a spoiled kid denied candy. Over the next week, my inbox started flooding with official emails stamped with the Summit Ridge logo. Each one sounded like a veiled threat. Unauthorized structure. Violation of planned community design. Immediate compliance required. The funny part? My property wasn't even within their development zone. I knew it. But apparently Derek didn't, or worse, didn't care. A few days later, while I was flipping steaks on the grill, a group of his associates showed up, notepads and clipboards in hand. They paced around the cabin, muttering about aesthetic cohesion and market perception. Derek stepped forward like some self-appointed sheriff of the mountains. "We're giving you one final opportunity," he said. "Sell now or we'll pursue legal action." I stayed cool. "You're welcome to try, but this land's outside your reach. This lodge isn't going anywhere." His jaw tightened and I could practically see the fire in his eyes. He wasn't used to being told no. The following weekend, he decided to up the ante. I was sitting on my porch when shouting erupted from the gravel driveway. Derek had rallied a small crowd of his investors and a few curious hikers from the nearby trail. He waved his hands like a politician on a podium. "This lodge is an eyesore," he announced. "It cheapens the entire look of our planned community. This man refuses to cooperate, refuses to sell, and frankly, it's selfish," the group murmured. Some nodded along, others shuffled their feet uncomfortably. I rose from my chair and walked toward them. "Let me get this straight," I said evenly. "You want me to give up my home because you don't approve of it?" Derek smirked. "Not just me, pal. Everyone. We're building something refined up here. We have standards." I could feel every eye on me. The air was tight with tension. He was trying to corner me in front of a crowd. I grinned slightly. "Funny thing about your standards, they stop at your property line. And last I checked, this mountain doesn't belong to your company." His face flushed, but he stood his ground. A few days later, I overheard him at a diner downtown, bragging to one of his partners. He claimed he already had a luxury developer lined up to By my ridge once he pushed me. Out. That was it. I'd played patient long enough. He'd tried threats, humiliation, even lies. That evening, headlights cut across my driveway, and there he was again, storming out of his truck. "This is your final warning," he snapped. "Sell now or I'll bury you in court fees." "You're not ready for that fight." I leaned against the porch railing, unmoved. "Derek," I said quietly, "you have no idea what fight you just picked." The next developer meeting, he strutted to the front like a peacock. He called my lodge a blight, demanded legal intervention, and waved a stack of fake contracts, like he was some courtroom hero. That's when I stood. "Derek," I said firmly, "you've wasted enough of these people's time. You think you're pressuring me into selling? But there's something you don't know." He scoffed. "And what's that supposed to be?" I let the silence linger, then said it flatly. "I don't just own this lodge. I own the mountain, every acre of rock, every trail easement, every mineral and water right beneath it, which means your development company has zero authority here." The hall went utterly silent. Derek's confident grin melted away. His partners exchanged uneasy glances like rats realizing the ship was sinking. I went on. "You've spent weeks throwing rules at me that don't apply. You've tried threats, lies, and legal bluffing to force me off land that isn't yours. And here's the punchline. I bought this entire ridge years ago. So, if anyone's trespassing here, it's you." Derek's jaw hung open. You own the whole ridge?" I nodded, "and everything attached to it. So let me be perfectly clear. You're done sending emails. You're done showing up uninvited. And you will never, ever pull this stunt again." The silence that followed was heavy enough to crush granite. One investor coughed. "We, didn't realize," he stammered. This was Derek's initiative. Another chimed in quickly. "Of course we respect private ownership." Derek, for once, had no clever retort, just pale shock. That night, the emails stopped. The threats vanished, and Derek couldn't even look my way when I passed him in town. A week later, I filed paperwork barring him and his crew from accessing any part of the ridge. No hiking, no filming, no surveying. My land, my rules. Word spread fast. Folks around town started chuckling about the developer who tried to evict the man, who owned the mountain. The best part? His project tanked afterward. Investors pulled out. Seems no one wants to build beside a guy who picks fights with the landowner. In the end, it wasn't about money or ego. It was about standing firm against entitlement, the kind that assumes control over what others built with their own hands. Derek learned the hard way. Sometimes the quiet cabin on the cliff isn't so small after all. So if you ever meet someone like him, remember this: pride always finds its reckoning. Thanks for sticking with me through the story. If you liked it, drop a comment, share it with a friend who loves a good justice-served story, and subscribe for more. And tell me below, what would you have done in my boots that day?